The race is on. Here we go, everyone. Evergreen content for your newspaper of the imagination as we continue to sail the high seas of the imagination here on a beautiful sunny day as I see the light reflecting on the waters in my mind. Artist Journal, May 12th, 2023, broadcasting to the world from Berlin, Germany. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. Welcome back. Am I mixing my metaphors here with newspapers and ships? I'm not sure, and perhaps it's just a surrealist juxtaposition for your Friday edification, my friends. So welcome back, and look at this. I'm sure a lot of your heads turned last night, or was it your night or your yesterday afternoon for some of you? Anyway, my head sure turned. I couldn't believe it. The Color, a sensational work by the great Rat Cloak, appeared on my phone. And like many of you, I had to just see what I could make happen to try and purchase one of these things. So look at this. So The Blind Leading the Blind is the name of the work. 5,000 by 3,500 pixels. And this is part of the No King, No Master series. So Rat Cloaksy, they went for 50 Tezos each and they disappeared. It took 12 minutes at 50 Tezos, so very nice sale from Rat Cloak. You know, it's interesting, right? Because Tezos, right? I mean, there's $500, maybe 480 because we're below $1 now, whatever it is. But there's just a boom. So, I mean, sometimes we have this idea that Ethereum is where kind of the money is. But, you know, like Ethereum, and we're going to see the fees and everything. I mean, there's money to be made on Tezos, isn't there? And this is just total proof. Now, let's look at this incredible artwork here. So very quickly, on the large composition, I think this is Ugor, I believe. I'm not positive. His brother, I believe. It's a little Rat Cloak loco. We'll zoom in a second here. So again, this is the Blind Leading the Blind. Here is the Bored Ape that looks like from a much earlier work. That looks like Rat Cloak himself with the Hannibal Lecter mask. And there is the Marshmallow Man. I believe that's a hat tip to Ghostbusters. We've also seen the Marshmallow Man in Hesterable Waffles' work. So I don't know if there's a meme thing about it or maybe there are responses. Who knows? And I think, yeah, and as we're going to see, Rat Cloak used Marshmallow Man it's probably a year ago. The weather was nice because I was paddleboarding the day I remember. We'll look at that work in a second. Anyways, a very kind of coming home of sorts, I feel, for Rat Cloak. You see the cartoon figures here? Let's actually zoom in. Actually, yeah, and then we'll look at Peter Bruegel's just for comparison because there's some very interesting things to say here. But that's hilarious. So there are the Looney Tunes figure with every detail here. You know, I'm trying to make these shows shorter, but with everything to talk about. Look at the texture just when you zoom out here, just the painterliness of this. You got the bleeding eye from the Lemonhead myth in the Tweety figure here. So anyways, just awesome. Look at the treatment of the grass. It looks like we're using, Rat Cloak's using a couple of softwares, I'm guessing. I don't know. I've never used Microsoft Paint, so I'm not sure on that front. But it looks like here you have kind of like the pixelated square brush, which he's contrasting with just a more painterly, really nice kind of oil painting style. And here there seems to be, I mean, it's tempting to even see Procreate in the brown in the ground here. But then you have the square brush again with the stick here. Look at the hand. I mean, this is like oil painting. Look at this trademark. You know, maybe we can zoom in even more. Trademark jacket here, like just the treatment here of the clothing is just trademark where, you know, sort of here it's become painterly underneath. And then these kind of like, again, kind of scratched over top, kind of roughly, as my dad always said, you know, Renaissance paintings can be surprisingly rough when you look up close. Look at this. I mean, this has a total impressionist feel to it. Again, it's tempting to think that Procreate has entered the mix here. When you see this, every little detail is just every little detail, even kind of, again, this impressionistic, like it looks like Rat Cloak has, has taken care of, has studied every single detail, every millimeter, every pixel on this thing has been kind of looked over here. That's what I see. I see there, nothing has been left to chance here. Actually, a lot has been, that's not to say it's not loose, but everything has been reviewed. Let's put it this way. A lot has been left to chance. But nothing has been ignored or nothing has been looked over in the sense of not looked at. Everything has been looked at. Now, another quick thing I want to point out here is the different treatment of the Marshmallow Man. Notice how there's none of the square pixels here. So again, kind of capturing that the texture of the marshmallow guy. And maybe also the fact that maybe he's a cartoon guy. So this is also an idea that happens in Rat Cloak's work, this kind of juxtaposition sometimes of cartoon people and so-called real world people. And let's just quickly look at that intense stare from you. I think that's Ugor or whoever that is. Very intense. And then there is what seems like the Bored Ape with the Loco Rat Cloak mask or makeup. And here's the Hannibal Lecter mask, probably Rat Cloak. See here. Again, with all the intensity of a Renaissance painting. And we haven't even looked at Peter Bruegel, where I assume this came from. Look at this. This, again, like I said, nothing was looked over. Nothing was ignored, is what I'm trying to say. Everything was looked over closely. And look at this great contrast here. This is there's something just finally here. See that how there's orange and then the blue on top and then the orange? These are complementary colors. That little bit of orange, look at what it adds. See that? When I cover it, it just adds so that's what you're getting when you buy a Rat Cloak. You're getting some pretty serious art, aren't you? So anyways, you can just, like a great painting, you can just keep looking at it. So let me show you quickly, very quickly here. So this is Peter Bruegel, The Blind Leading the Blind. So let me just point out the originality in composition as well. Because, it's not like he just totally took this composition and redid it in a very similar way. He completely changed the composition. He personalized it. He put his own kind of mythology into it. And it's really interesting, too. We never even looked at the cart figures with Ugor on the figure here and, the Looney Tunes figures with Skeletor. Again, so I feel like a kind of artistic coming home of sorts on this piece, a real triumph on this piece here. And I just wanted to show, you see here, there's that kind of Bored Ape guy. This was the first work I ever saw by Rat Cloak. So the head on the pillow, and there is the Rat Cloak figure with the Rat Cloak, makeup or whatever. And anyways, this is a masterpiece here, as you can see. And here again, this the Rat Cloak figure here. So just some early work here. So just very, very, very cool work here. Just awesome. So continuing on, big shout out to Rat Cloak. Amazing. Amazing. And a shout out also to Haiti Rocket. Thank you for picking up a few 8-bit natures yesterday. Appreciate that. Always great to hear from you. And it's just awesome when fellow artists collect your art is a wonderful feeling. And one of the great things about this great community, isn't it? Speaking of interesting, great artists here, Demon Ego, big shout out to you as well. As you gave an example, so we're discussing Demon Ego's remember the work on the cutting board where there's the ears that were cut out and then he had a few different versions? I was comparing that to Warhol's kind of colored paper, then using the randomness. So Demon Ego replies, as you gave an example, I try to create a balance between plan and lack of plan. So this is a theme that keeps coming up here, which I think is awesome in my art, similar to Warhol's technique. especially in my works. In other words, I use randomness and I don't plan everything to a detail conceptually before I get started, especially in my works that I've created recently and that satisfy me because I use many technical materials. I allow coincidences, character pieces to create their own stories. I allow coincidences. And the thing with coincidence and randomness, when it's properly harnessed, it looks like genius. Because people go, how could someone have thought of doing that? And the answer is they didn't think of doing it. It was actually they're using randomness because you just think, oh, that's so beautiful. I never would have imagined that. It's because they're using randomness. So, Demon Ego, I allow coincidences, character pieces to create their own stories. Actually, of course, this happens independently of me. Beautifully put. I never start my collages, GIF, or paper knowing the end. In the flow, each piece finds its place. So, very interesting. I actually create the piece in my works by thinking of each as a separate work, and I want to bring them together and end them as a quote-unquote strong collage. Thus, the same work narrates many works, reflecting the different phases of the creation process and shows the current state of my mind. In the end, I complete them by writing their stories, but of course, the work continues to be created over and over again by the people who look at it. I'm a story creator, narrator, and listener at the same time, so very interesting. Of course, Demon Ego, his works are kind of segmented and very structured, so it sounds like he's almost treating like each little area like a little composition that makes a greater composition, almost like a novelist building a novel. Different chapters, you might say, or different sub-themes in the novel. And big shout out to Mick Renders, thanks for the comment. And we're going to look actually at some Mick Renders' work today. So that is great to hear from you. And I just wanted to share this. I was thrilled to see this comment. So we've been discussing with excitement art matter. And so I actually sent them a message, and I never do this, but I was just sort of like, by the way, I was, singing your praises for the first 10 minutes of this YouTube. So I thought I'd just send it to you in case, in case you're interested. And they replied, "Thank you, Adrian. You're invited to come to space whenever you want." So that's super exciting. And what's also, it got me thinking maybe it's possible to get art matter onto a Twitter Spaces on a Wednesday. So I told them I'd get back to them in the next week or two. And there's something else I want to show you here. Art matter, they only have 1,425 followers. Like from what I've seen, and correct me if I'm wrong out there, if anybody knows better, to me, this is the most advanced pen plotting, and using the word pen with what they're doing seems insufficient because they're using charcoal, they're using paint, marker. So there's only 1,425 people following Art Matter. So all to say, it's worth our while to get to know these people because they are doing incredible things. And maybe you and me, dear viewer, fellow artist, can also do some incredible things. So I just had to share my excitement that they were excited. Okay? So here, transactions. Bazaya, no way that emerging artists can aspire to something at these gas fees. So talking about Ethereum, and of course meme coin season has just clogged up the chain, so now transactions are costing, $50 US, which even, in the richest countries in the world is a hell of a lot of money. Hella lot of money. Not even for collectors of non-mainstream art can be profitable. All this just for mint without considering listing or transfer. WTF, come to Tezos, you won't regret. So again, as I was mentioning with Rat Cloak at the beginning of this episode, 500 Tezos, boom. And what's so interesting, again, we always think of ETH as the money chain, that's where you kind of cash in. But Tezos, with low transaction fees, this all matters. And let's not forget, if you ever sold on Super Rare, and I love Super Rare, and I'm thrilled to be there, and it's done a lot of great things. I've sold, my most expensive work has been sold on Super Rare, so I'm thrilled. But one thing to remember, especially in the time of high gas fees, is when you sell a work, you think, okay, I did it, but then somebody, either the collector or the artist, has to kind of ratify that transaction, push it through, and that's another probably $50, maybe $30. that you have to pay. So if you're selling a work for $150, you could pay like $100 in fees. At the height of the 2021 bull market, I believe I paid $200 when ETH was at $4,500. I think I paid $200 to mint a work. US. That's how crazy that bull market got. But when you're selling for, I was selling for, I think as much, like just under $6,000, you're going, okay, well, $200, sure. I'll see what happens. Mech.txt starting to appreciate Tezos and Solana even more, also pointing out the gas fees. So again, yeah, so you see it's just, it is what it is. And it's just interesting to hear the comments. Again, my sort of great hope is with DOT, which is a very kind of, that might be years away though, with no fees potentially. Uxine with a really interesting work here. Profound Shifts of Desperation, edition of 11. Let's just see what this sold for on primary. Accepted offers between 160 and 200 Tezos. So again, times 11, like we're talking like 2,000 Tezos, like maybe $1,800. But again, with no overhead fees. That's pretty good. I mean, that's really good. So Profound Shifts of Desperation by Uxine. So anyways, let's take a quick look here. And you see there's the skull here. And we're going to see this skull work by itself. Let me just show you actually right now, right here. And it becomes a different work. Again, the alchemy of scale. When things get blown up, I mean, it's like a completely different experience here than, and you kind of get a window into Uxine's process because he has this element, say the skull that's turning 360, and then he makes it all small. And here it almost looks like kind of like a sketched out thing. But then you look up here, you know how I think this is made, and who knows? And I almost wonder if this is also what Xcopy has been doing with the newer kind of style and newer brush. You know how in Procreate there is the spacing where you can, if you draw across, it can leave like, you can create the distance in the space, and then maybe you put on the randomization so that the distance randomizes. Isn't that exactly what it seems like is going on here? It's being dragged across, but with kind of randomization in that kind of spacing. Just a theory here. So this is close up, of course, but I think that's what's going on here. So anyways, so this is the work, and let's not forget how beautifully just oil painted, Uxine continues to just get better and better at the oil painting as well. Interesting element on the side here. I thought this was just conceptually interesting, how you have the brush, see it's brushwork, 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 turns into pixels, turns into super hard edge brush. Interesting kind of conceptually, right? Interesting what's going on here. Kind of a newer element that I'd never seen before. It kind of looks like a sample of a shape, right? And then just some pixels kind of moving around. A drawn out pixelated guy, unhappy face, and a guy on a phone or someone on a phone with a skull turning and the halo. So it's all here. A little bit of what looks like spray paint down here. Very nice piece. Interesting title too. So anyways, buy on secondary for 280. This was also interesting in terms of the mechanics because it's like, well, like first of all, I love the fact that Uxine made another work from that work, or right, or decided, hey, you know what, this work works in itself, and it should, right? Now, maybe to avoid criticism, or maybe just to be cool to the collectors. Because someone could go, oh, well, you're just reusing that element and making a new piece. Is that a new piece? You know, like, or should you charge for that? So it's interesting. I noticed what Uxine did. He just transferred to 5 people. I don't know how it was decided. Maybe there are buyers of this. Maybe it's people in the Discord. Who knows? But all to say, pretty cool. So anyways, I mean, and if he sold it, I think that would be totally legit. You know, it's just sort of like, remember Louis Osborne with the different background colors? You know, one with blue, one with pink or red. That's all cool as far as I'm concerned. You know, Rosatio with another one of these Monstrum from the Monstrum series. Remember we saw The Metamorphosis yesterday. Well, here's another one. I think it's called Vision. Interesting title, interesting emojis. Kind of has a bit of a Francis Bacon feel with this kind of outline, this square space that is created here, defined. And even kind of like a bit of an oval structure. Kind of reminds me of structurally, compositionally, although not head-on, of The Screaming Popes by Francis Bacon. There's just a little bit of that kind of, again, that oval and that space here that's outlined. Anyway, and then there's some classic collage and work and, you know, just classic iconography from Rosatio here in the Mac window, the eye, and then a couple of spheres here and a kind of nice painterly background. So very interesting work from Rosatio. Offers are coming in, so the crowd likes it there. Dan Control with just another cool work, Air Force One. Simple landscape with a white shoe in it. All done with, actually, is this all done with gradients? We're gonna take a very quick look up close here. And wow, look at how huge this is. Oh, it is all done with gradients. Even these little dots are done with gradients. So how cool is that, right? So again, back to detail. The details matter here. Taking care of the details here, these artists. Attention to detail. Hasdrubal Waffle, The Dawn of Man. A very cool work here. I thought it was a bit of a commentary of sorts. So again, I haven't watched a ton of movies, but I have seen 2001, of course, and this seems to be a reference to the beginning of 2001 with the, what is it called again? The black rectangle there, the rectangular surface, and then the apes at the start of humanity with the bones, the monolith. It's the monolith, I believe. And then, so anyways, so it seems to show that, you know, the monolith is now looking like a phone here. And the commentary seems to be, cool, now we buy Frogcoin. Here we've evolved all the way, you know, here we are, you know, 100,000 years later, 200,000 years later. How many years is it? I believe it's 2 million years, actually, since we evolved from, you know, this isn't Homo erectus. This is probably closer to a Homo habilis, actually, in terms of your paleontology, paleoarchaeology, paleoanthropology is what we're dealing with here. Paleoanthropology. So anyways, here is the history of humanity in one image, all encompassed in one image. And is this all it's come down to? Cool, now we buy Frogcoin. This is what we've achieved. Great purple sky. That is my interpretation of it anyway. Available for 49 Tezos, edition of 3. Not a bad price, if you ask me. See, there's a phone icon, so that is very likely a phone. And someone picked this up for 28 XTZ or Tezos on auction. So nice pickup there. Very nice piece. Check out this work by Ed Marola. Maybe we can open that in a new tab. Get the sound going here. There we go. Almost like a magician type figure. Helpers with what looks like some sort of computer or printer or machine. And look at the readout there. So look at the details. And I mean, look at this like up close and huge. The fire. Real great work we saw come out yesterday. Like, and look at the frame. The attention to detail. And like the helper holding the wire. Really nice music. So anyways. Very, very, very cool. Buy now for 2 Tezos, edition of 100. And we are cruising, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone. Stip and Pixel, Glittering Bungalow. So this was a very interesting work. Again, Stip and Pixel has been playing with this very interesting kind of pixel artworks of like houses, architectural places, you know, bungalow type thing. This one, like if you want my theory on what's going on here with the animation, I think it's a layer. It looks like there are elements from the creation of this house, from the layers, see like the yellow brushwork that's kind of moving across? It looks like it's also in the roof. So maybe this was copied over on a layer and then repeated, and then, okay, we'll move it across. It kind of looks like that. Like this whole animation here looks like it was built out of the layers that created the house, which kind of cool conceptually, process-wise. Edition of 5 for 12 Tezos. Very cool work. Shout out to Stip and Pixel. Glittering Bungalow. And look at this astonishing, just wild, super cool work by Argyle, Schrodinger's Game. A reference, one thinks, to Schrodinger's cat. Would we call that a conceptual game? I mean, yeah, so the quantum physics experiment where the cat is both alive and dead at the same time. That all needs to be reviewed. But anyways, that is the concept. And so anyways, what I loved about this piece is not just the visual kind of excitement and energy in it, but I also love how it's, again, playing with the kind of celebrating the logic, the conceptual machinery of game playing, really kind of celebrating like the puzzle, and here you see it in the chess interface, reminiscent of newspaper, chess games that they would have in newspapers way back when, and also the Rubik's Cube and everything, and just beautifully pixelated out with a couple of trading cards for good measure, this beautiful kind of red, blue, and yellow pixel art border. Great piece. Not for sale yet. The offers are coming in. I'd love to get a piece, to get this work. I'd love to get this piece. 5 colors. That's only 5 colors. I mean, it looks like more, doesn't it? So anyways, really cool work here from Argyle. And here's another cool work, Maxim Rykov, who you might remember from that magician piece way back when. I'm going to show it to you in a second. Doesn't put out much work, but has a new one here, and they're always kind of highly collectible. Interesting kind of mask that's kind of morphine. And then you see these shapes in the background. So always kind of like, again, doesn't put out much, but when Maxime does put out stuff, it's always quite elaborate. An accident, the canvas must be stretched over the frame on all 4 sides. The 4th edge is difficult to find because it is the first. So kind of a enigmatic writing here. And there's Lagojo. Shout out to Lagojo. So yeah, so the offers are coming in to this really cool work by Maxim Rykov. And here is what I was talking about. This is how I got introduced, I guess a year ago now. It's April 8th, 2022. What a year it's been, hey? Magician. So just a brilliant work of art. And it's actually much cheaper now, because I think it was 100 Tezos way back then when I saw it, and Tezos is probably at $3 or something. So you get it for a song in comparison. Just a brilliant NFT. Now available for, $50. Not a bad price for that piece. Saiko. So working with World of Women here, my artwork for World of Women was revealed. Thank you so much for the incredible opportunity, and thank you so much for the collectors who already minted. It's open until May 26th, so if you are a World of Women holder, please check out. So I assume this is on ETH, and I guess just kind of a bonus here for World of Women, which is a PFP project on ETH. So anyways, classic Scora work, also known as Saiko, kind of playing with ASCII type of text on top of portraits, really digital and everything. And I'll show you, Saiko goes through her process a little bit. So nice pixelation and everything, just really original, cool style here. And check this out. So this video was also about my piece. So here, that is probably Saiko, always working with Fuwa, who I assume is the bird. Look at this, Photoshop, After Effects, Premiere, and I'm not sure what ME is. And that looks like Midjourney is there, and maybe this is something else, and multiple software. Photoshop, so there's Saiko working in Photoshop. So putting, that first elements together, and then this is Touch Designer, which I've never even heard of, again, on the laptop. And then here is Premiere. So that looks like where a lot of the pixelation is coming in. Stay tuned. So anyways, super cool. Great to see the work in progress. Haiti Rocket. Syntax breaker, cool title. This bottom right area, which looks like, you know what it reminds me of, is the gilded gold that you'd find on like a Bernini sculpture in a Roman cathedral, in a Roman church. This looks like the kind, again, you'd see this gilded and gold and some Bernini sculpture. I think that exists somewhere. Anyways, really cool experimentation. Love the sun kind of thing and everything. It's looking great. Edition of 13, again, looks like it's using deluxe paint, Amiga 1200, Photoshop, GIF image. So anyways, super cool. Another kind of glitched out work. This is an older work by Sabato from 2015, reworked in 2023. Really interesting compositions size. 1080 by 1920. So I think this would perfectly fit on one of those TVs that you often see at NFT shows. So anyways, cool glitch work from Sabato, data bending glitch. So I believe data bending is when you take like a PNG or a JPEG and you play with the code that creates it. And then I think you get a variation. And I think that's what's going on here. So a glitch technique either way, and maybe a whole bunch of them put together. Fragile composition, I love that. Not a number, NaN, with a cool kind of glitch. And looks like using AI as well, Endless Summer, and just kind of a cool, sunset on the sea here with glitched out and everything. So another cool work. Edition of 10 for 1 Tezos, 4 left. So cool work there. This was interesting. Superclusters, so kind of a bit of an astronomical reference here. Espinosa put this out. And I was wondering to myself, is this from the James Webb Telescope where we're getting all this incredible imagery that's coming in? It just went live like a few months ago, the James Webb. That replaced, of course, the Hubble out there in outer space. So from the dawn of humanity to the James Webb Telescope, we cover it all here. Coda Nakazono, continuum number 107. So I was excited to see this and to show you this because remember, I think it's Goyunga Arts, where we were discussing how perhaps there's a pixelation mask that's put on certain parts of the image. I wonder if that's what we see here as well. Maybe it's something in After Effects or Adobe Premiere, because you see the liquid, organic, biomorphic structure here that's moving. When it goes behind this pixelation, you can start to see that the pixelation is actually kind of filtering the liquid figure structure behind it. So again, it looks like a pixel mask of sorts, or a pixel filter of sorts, right? So that's interesting. I also like this Microsoft Windows frame, this blue stripe at the bottom. Nice touch. And also this periscope pipe. So all sorts of interesting stuff with Coda Nakazono, great series. And the offers are coming in. The offers are coming in fast, so still very popular with the collectors. Check out this work by Xmortal. This was burned, actually. So just kind of a mirrored image and some dripping, just kind of an interesting texture to the glitch here too. And almost a bit of a Tron sci-fi feel to it. I guess there's AI in here too. I just thought kind of an interesting image. It was burned, but it didn't escape my eye, Xmortal. So I show it here. Augurs with a beautiful personal piece here. Check this out. Love the audio. See if we can get... So from personal photos and videos, as I'll show you here. So maybe this is Augur's family. I found it quite moving. Really beautiful. The audio helps a lot there too. First steps, it's probably the first steps of Augur's, child. Digitally painted with data from personal videos and photographs, made with Processing 4 and a little help from Runway AI, which I've never heard of. I've never heard of Processing 4 either. So anyways, super cool work, available for 4 Tezos, 3 left. And House of the Model, great to see them in action. Let's see if we can get this working here. Mild inconveniences. So I'm waiting for House of the Model on Spotify. Maybe they're already there. House of the Model, if you see this, Love to hear your Spotify. House of the Model knows what they're doing. Great visuals, and the audio is always awesome. Really nice. Sounds like it has like the portamento going. Beautiful. Just washing over you, you know. So really cool work. 5 Tezos, 7 left. Edition of 10 from House of the Model. Mild Inconveniences. And EdgeQ with another musical work here. Let's get this going. Hybrid Indica, Thai Red Point. Big shout out to EdgeQ. And as you might have heard in the last Spaces, or a week and a half ago, EdgeQ started with music and then wanted to get into the NFTs and selling the music, so started making, you know, like album covers or images to complement it, and now is doing all sorts of super cool collage here. So great to see. Very cool work. Edition of 1. Let's just see what happened. Went to green, dude. So anyways, really cool. I always love the trading card case here. How are we doing? We're cruising here, bite by bit. So remember, this is using KidPix. So I'm just really enjoying watching bite by bit discover KidPix because I feel like I'm learning about KidPix in the process. So anyways, just playing around, experimenting here. This is a 1 of 1 for 9 Tezos. Tom Battle, the ramen. I thought this was a really cool work. Kind of reminded me that it's Friday and maybe I should go for ramen tonight. Delicious ramen. Anyway, I thought the animation here was quite beautiful too. Just the little details with the fan, the kind of the smoke coming out and the figure. I thought a really nice composition here. The TV is a nice touch too. Really nice work from Tom Battle. And that sold for 7 Tezos each, and it looks like it went in about an hour. So not bad at all. Not bad at all. So also coming up, Manadal with the Cat Tarot. Judgment is coming up next. So a little preview for you here, courtesy of Twitter. See it here first. And anyway, that was just like the horns, or the last Judgment kind of trumpet here. But in the tarot. So anyway, cool overlap between the tarot and kind of what is the apocalyptic book? The Book of Revelations. Kind of interesting overlap in iconography there. Something for us to think about. Jake Studios. I thought this was pretty rad. It took me a minute to kind of figure out what was going on here. But what does it look like? It looks like a JPEG icon that is kind of separating a little bit here. It is rocketing to the sky with a little cape on it and fire. Kind of a heroic image, isn't it? Of the JPEG icon going to outer space, really. And this great gradient in the background. Awesome frame. Beautifully done by Jake Studios. So really cool, inspiring work. You could put that at the start of a show of like digital NFT art. Flor Marquez with a super cool work here with collage. This looks like she could have taken this photo from her basement or something. So anyways, a couple of different colors here and, you know, playing around. Anything can be compared to a ray of sunshine. Nice little written text. So anyways, very cool. And this has been minted but not listed yet. So very cool from Flora Marquez. Diego Barrow, Sunset Strokes, digital painting done with Procreate. So this is interesting because sometimes, I believe sometimes Diego would leave the image, the source image in and paint over top. But here it looks like he got rid of that layer, which is kind of interesting and really nice kind of brush work here using Procreate. So anyway, cool piece here. 1 of 1, available for 10 Tezos. So done with Procreate. So anyway, shout out to Diego. Great to see the work. Tukes, I believe this is AI. So that is interesting. So just showing how convincing the textures are getting with AI. I mean, look at like right in there. And you know what this looks like? This looks like the blend function, maybe using like 3 Rothkos and then something with some texture in it. But who knows? I mean, I barely use AI compared to someone like Tukes that's been using it intently for several months, maybe a year now. This is the work I want to show by Mick Renders, a very cool 3D work of these, kind of made of these spheres here. And you can see the plant. And so anyways, just kind of a cool wavy plant here, again, made of not of pixels, but of spheres, kind of a sculptural work. And again, kind of 3D-esque. There we go. Now it's moving. So anyways, there's a couple of plants. This is Alocasia reginula, and this is for 30 Tezos. So I think it's sold out on primary at only 1 Tezos 11. Went to a nice crowd here. Cap'n, Bridget, New York City, Sky Goodman, Human Boy, Poe Dogson, and more. So anyways, cool work here from Mick Renders. Big shout out. And let's just actually, because I've never looked at Mick Renders' page before. I saw he left a comment. And so anyways, there's another plant here too, which is pretty cool, kind of wavy. And I think another one here too. Yeah, so anyways, very cool work. And then a new one here that's kind of more abstract. So very cool. Sky Goodman with more AI kind of based sneakers and playing with this cool kind of, I want to say just kind of glitched out patterning here. You see it here too, kind of stretching the data out a little bit here. I want to call it data stretching. Maybe that's a new term. Anyway, really cool by Sky Goodman. Looks like over the top high tops here. Golden hour highs. A new work by Santiago, What Does It Mean to Have a Body? So a new mint. And I thought this one was quite cool and kind of almost gives a bit of a microscopic sort of feel to it. And again, these kind of hypothetical veins and everything, just turning the elements of the body into abstraction, right? I mean, it seems to be what's going on here. Nice color in this piece. I even like the kind of dark blue and this nice orange. Very nice color. Reflection of the treasure in the eyes of a legal document. So cool kind of text there. Handcrafted, I believe, by Santiago. Hologram gallery with a cool work. So I think it's collage and AI. So here's a skull, but then juxtaposing it with kind of a VR headset. And then this kind of, what looks like an AI created steampunk kind of mouse here. And then some nice flowers, a candle, red curtains, and everything. Subconscious Bloom token. With the purchase of this token, the buyer will receive surprise airdrops during the duration of Subconscious Bloom Digital Roots, an art show by Hologram Gallery. So big shout out to Chi Moscow Jackson. Go check it out on the Hologram Gallery page. And here's Islay with AI Bath, Bain de. And I thought this was kind of interesting because here it almost looks like paint. It's almost like this bridal figure here with the drink is bathing in kind of like paint, and then there's petals. So anyway, it's kind of a cool painterly AI work. Look at those textures again, kind of reminiscent of Tukes there in the texture. Look at this. I mean, it's so three-dimensional. Look at that. Very cool. Edition of 7, 3 left for 3 Tezos. And check this out. This kind of reminded me. First, Rinnyfish had shared this artist on Instagram, and where I discovered them, and I saw them tweet out just some works. Here they are, just some recent works, and saying, "Hey, check me out on Foundation. These are still available." And you know who this reminded me of? I mean, maybe you can guess. It reminded me of Walk with this look at this goldfish here, this masterfully painted goldfish by Walk. So anyways, I thought they would kind of hang well together. And this kind of almost reminded me of Ed Marola, where it's like, just make some abstract pieces and put some eyes on stuff, and all of a sudden things are going to start to look like things. Anyways, this masterfully painted goldfish, making it look easy, beautifully done here by Walk Goldfish. And here you can even see the goldfish on a jacket, painted, differently here. A different treatment, but just shows how consistent Walk is. Amazing artist. Stephen Schwartzer with a work here, and let me actually get to the big picture. Look at how beautiful this is. So interesting purple background. I guess that's maybe a table or just done in Photoshop, but you see the work here. Gorgeous color and just interesting composition, just messing around inside, outside, cluster strat Zex. So anyways, really cool from Stephen Schwartzer. And actually, let me just quickly go here. Here are the up-close details that I want to show you here. Beautiful materials here, beautiful physicality. So we were discussing last episode. And that is your show, my friends. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a great weekend. Until next time, take care.